So today you will be working on the third paragraph of your essay. Now, so far you've written your introduction and you've written the second paragraph of your essay called body paragraph 1. Now you'll be writing the third paragraph of your essay called body paragraph 2. Okay? So in your introduction, you should have stated your thesis. That's the main idea of your essay. That's what a thesis is. It's the main point that you're trying to make in your essay. It's the main idea of your essay. And so the main idea of my example on this board is that Shop-Vac is a terrible brand of vacuum. So I would have written a few sentences in my paragraph right before that, and then the very last sentence I would have typed, Shop-Vac is a terrible brand of vacuum. Now, in the subsequent paragraphs, I want to make a couple of different points that support my thesis, that support that main idea, okay? And so in the example, in the video that I recorded last time, I talked about 2 points that you can make that support this main idea. And those 2 points are Shop-Vacs break easily, and then the other one is Shop-Vacs are overpriced. And I told you that you should pick one of these points, or I told you that I was going to pick one of these points. If you have your own topic, you should have made a couple of points and then picked one of those to devote to this body paragraph, okay? So in the last video, I picked Shop-Vacs break easily. And so the topic of this paragraph is Shop-Vacs break easily, and then I would then go on to include information, factual information that I actually researched that proves that Shop-Vacs break more easily than other brands of vacuums. Now today you'll be working on your third paragraph, which is called this body paragraph 2. So today's the day to argue the second point that you want to make. In my example, the second point that I want to make is that Shop-Vacs are overpriced. And so this whole paragraph here would be devoted to the fact that Shop-Vacs are overpriced. I wouldn't bring up any other different aspects of Shop-Vacs that are bad. I would just simply focus on this paragraph being Shop-Vacs are overpriced. So now I want to go over the typical structure of a body paragraph. So I'm just going to erase this really quick. So a body paragraph starts off with a topic sentence. Now, in this case, the topic sentence is Shop-Vacs are overpriced. It's the topic of this paragraph. It's called the topic sentence, and I'll say Shop-Vacs are overpriced. Now I want to give a factual example that supports this topic sentence. So I'll say, for example, okay? And since this is a factual example, I want to let my reader know where I got this fact from. So I would say, for example, let's say I got this fact from CNN.com. So for example, CNN.com, or better yet, it most likely be an article on CNN.com. So you would say, an article on CNN.com says that, and then you'd go on to state the fact that that is provided by CNN.com in that article. It could be that Shop-Vacs on average cost $30 more than Rigid brand vacuums. There's a brand of vacuum called Rigid, and if you found out through a website that Shop-Vacs cost more than Rigid, you would include that actual factual information right there. And then after you state your fact, you will add commentary. So commentary is just a sentence or two where you sort of give your personal response to that fact. You could say something like, I'm surprised that people would pay more for something that is, of less quality, or something like that. Or you could say, and by the way, notice how I said I'm surprised. I don't want you to use I statements in your essay. You could better word it by saying it's surprising that shop vacs cost as much as they do when they are of poorer quality compared to rigid vacuums. So that's an example of a commentary sentence. And think of the word commentary. You're commenting on something. In this case, you're commenting on the concrete detail that you presented. So typically after the concrete detail, which oftentimes I start off my concrete details with for example. So after your for example statement, then you'll add one or two sentences of commentary where you react to that fact. And then typically there is usually one more fact that you will want to state in this paragraph. And you could say, for example, again. By this point, you will have already had a couple sentences between this initial for example. So you'll have, some commentary here, a couple of commentary sentences, and then you could say again, for example. Now, obviously, before this for example sentence, you'll want to say something in the sentence prior to it that actually builds up to it. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense if you're saying just for example out of nowhere. You can make a commentary like, there are a lot of other issues with overpricing as well. And then say, for example, and then you give your specific example that you found from research, from an actual source, all right? So, for example, you talk about that for a bit, typically one sentence of concrete detail, and then you give a couple more sentences of commentary where you respond to that fact, and then a concluding sentence. Your concluding sentence can just be something like, as you can see, shop vacs are overpriced. Sometimes that concluding sentence transitions to the next one, to the next paragraph. It doesn't have to, but keep in mind, if you don't transition there, you probably should have some sort of a transition statement in your next body paragraph to show that this subject doesn't just abruptly come up. Okay, and these are all intertwined. Okay, and you can see a better example of how I do that in what I've posted below. So take a look at my essay example and see what I mean by transition. Take a look at the very last sentence of one body paragraph and compare it to the very first sentence of the other body paragraph, and you'll see what I mean by transition. I'm showing that, I'm signifying that there's some sort of a connection going on from one paragraph to the other. So I think the best way to explain it is just to see the example that I posted. All right, go ahead and take a look at the worksheet that I posted right below this video, and make sure definitely to scroll down to the very end of that worksheet to see my example. And also message me if you have any questions. All right?